I think we're going to start off with approval of the minutes from December 6th. Do we have a
Motion to
motion?
approve.
Do we have a second there?
Give me 1 second if you don't mind, 'cause
Yeah.
I didn't read the agenda and I didn't read the minutes. Let me just look
Okay,
this
yeah.
up first. Apologize.
Thank you for the Christmas card.
Yeah, you're welcome. You got the whole fam and the future fam. That's right. Yeah.
Apologize, I didn't come prepared.
No, no problem.
Don't let it happen again.
I'll try not
You
to.
know, it's like our, life,
That's awesome.
Good job. It's awesome.
Yeah.
How was the holiday?
Yeah.
Sale again?
Okay. Second.
Second that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Get it on? Keith seconded.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, okay, all right. All against? No? Okay, ayes have it. All right, very good. Thank you very much. Next one, general economic development activity update. David Swenson, I'm going to turn that one over
Yeah.
to you, man.
We'll just go through this real quick. And not a lot has changed since our last meeting, but we'll highlight a few things. So in January, I'll refer up to the slide, and we'll be sending out the dashboard
Mhm.
next week
Okay.
when the month ends. But we don't anticipate too much change, if any. 4 new opportunities identified. 3 were in manufacturing. One is in the let's say high-tech raw material products that does more stuff for our growing industry sector.
Okay.
Put it that way. One other one was in the activities related to again semiconductor. I think Pallidus coming
Mm-hmm.
is driving some interest.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's real good. Real
Okay.
good. And then one was a warehouse project that I'll talk a little bit more about in executive session.
Okay.
24 new opportunities for the fiscal year, which I think that tracking real well. You can see we were up for this from December to January.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's reflective of just the holiday season. What's interesting though is the leads. You can see how the leads have kind of gone down. We'll relate it to the holiday season, but let's see how February, March, April come about with the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's
Mhm.
kind of indicative of people are looking around, that's what leads are.
Mhm.
They got real meat to them, that's what the opportunities tend to be, so.
Okay.
Is that normally a trendy thing, or is that like usually pretty steady across the?
It can be seasonal, so it does have its cycles, but to what degree does it change or differ year over year? It can be,
Mhm.
election year, things going on worldwide, inflation.
I just wondered if people were like, if they wanted to start fresh in a new year, or if they were looking to get out for an old, but I guess
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
process takes longer than that.
Sometimes, I think we see in the last few years, we've seen a little bit of a rush at the end of the calendar year on some projects. Now, what we are watching is our pipeline and those that are in the finalists and
Mhm.
shortlisted stage and seeing if they're gonna go forward with their projects.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll talk about some of that here.
So with the leads, though, just from a trending perspective, though, does this look succinctly as it trended last year and the year before? I mean, do you always kind of see?
Yeah, we have to go back and compare, because this is
Okay.
only a 6-month
Right.
fiscal year comparison, but
Okay.
I equate this to what we're seeing with the holiday.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, it especially after November kicks in.
So the next slide, 36 active opportunities right now. Again, the majority of those are in the new category, these are new companies looking versus expanding. But we've got 9 good expansions, and we're talking to them quite regularly. In fact, we were on the phone with one today just to clarify some key questions that we thought we need to know going forward, and they actually validated our answer or their situation, so that's good.
When you look at these things, in new ones or the expansions, from a committee standpoint, do you feel any of our presence would help in some cases, just to say, we're here, that we're looking forward to the opportunity to work with y'all?
I think at case by case and
Okay.
in district
Okay.
would probably be good.
Okay.
There's yeah, I think that's how we would approach it. Like the stuff with 1H2,
Yeah.
good company when they call you back,
Mm-hmm.
when they email you back. So I
Mhm.
mean, I'd like to go up there and see. them.
I'll take you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
to their location, so,
I've been,
up in North Carolina.
yep, Mount Holly.
Yeah, Mount Holly area.
Yeah.
So, we wanna meet their people, but even their project manager doesn't get calls back from.
Why don't, let's both go one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that goes a long ways, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've already
So-
been, I went last, before they started doing all this, I went and, cause I was talking about their property and what they wanted to do with it and just kinda getting ahead of, before I knew they were planning anything, but then when I got there, I realized they, had a pretty thick folder that they had been making some plans and doing some things, but they hadn't reached out really to us yet, so. Anyway, it was an interesting meeting, but, I think they would let me come back.
So you did sit down and.
Yeah, I did with all of them.
Okay, interesting,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had some ideas for them. I felt like I told them when I left, I said, you know what I'd like for you to do is just think outside the box for this whole area. And then as a matter of fact, we worked on the District 2 comp plan. We took into account what I had learned from them and knowing that they were trying to sell that building and what their intent was at that point in our comp plan, we made that area unique for
Right.
what they want to do, and not saying that we would approve everything they want to do as far as their plans, but that is kind of carved out for them, and I would love to sit down with them and let them know that and just talk to them and kind of go through that again. I mean, it'd be great to.
Particularly towards like green space. On the backside.
It was the whole everything. It was green space and how they wanted to develop it and do like a kind of a mixed use. And I gave them a whole what I thought they should do with everything. I think that might be when they asked me if I was ready to go, but not really. But I just gave. I know they thought I was like crazy, but they were thinking inside that box of that building right there, and I was thinking outside of that box of the building.
Mm.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
good.
we can talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this stuff, I mean, these things, I think it goes a long way when you have your local council member there to talk and know that they're, we're all walking in, partnering, I guess, in that, so it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Opportunities by source,
Yeah.
DOC is our lead source, again, they're the pipeline that feeds us for good reasons, because they bring other resources to bear, business retention and other programs that we actually promote quite regularly.
Mhm.
Recycling programs, other stuff that's buyer supplier network driven. It's good receptivity, and they have a pretty good team now. They've had stability in their staff. There's other players though that we are engaged with. Manufacturing continues to be the focus, as you can see. The majority of our projects, anywhere from 75 to 80%, are making something. Most of those are in the small business
Mhm.
category and structure. So, again, it's all positive.
David,
Mhm.
quick question.
Mhm.
So I should know this because I'm on the Charlotte Alliance. What does it cost us to be affiliated with them?
Charlotte Alliance is around 84,000 for the year. It's a per capita basis. Then the 77 Alliance is over 42, I think it is.
Okay.
And that's a base fee plus per capita.
All right. And then the percentage of leads that came from them, that's like one lead from each, would you say?
Yeah, pretty much. So these are opportunities where they're actually good and qualified.
Mhm.
There's leads
Mhm.
that we put more in that category for
Okay.
these organizations, and we can break that out. They're going through change. They've had personnel change, turnover, so.
Okay. Would you say in the last 3 years have we closed one of these and they've 5 years? In the history of being affiliated with these two? have we-
The Palladis team was, or that project, the CRBA, Charlotte Region Business Alliance, that team did help us on some evaluation of Texas versus us.
So we're
They
not
didn't
really
generate it.
we haven't gotten any benefit from being affiliated with these two.
For leads and opportunities, there's nothing that's landed. For other benefits, yes, we have.
And what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, what's the other benefit?
So the other benefits are we have data resources, and that mainly comes from the side of the 77 Alliance. And we calculated out what those resources, like Salesforce, Jobs EQ, is about 4 or 5 of them, I think it is. That equates to at least half, if not just a little bit more than half of the value we pay in. So that's good. Then the trips and the activities that we do on the 77 Alliance side, definitely we get that return, because I go on those trips and we just went over that calendar and we've split up, I think we have like 6 for the year.
6
So,
trips
Yeah.
that
6,
they
I think.
funded?
For this, yeah. Mhm.
out of the 42,000 that we.
Yeah, and our money leverages some of the state funds. So I would say on the 77 side, that's a non-issue, really. I think we're in good position there. We have leadership role and responsibility. I'm active with that group. This Charlotte Alliance, that's a question that we're looking at now in the ROI reporting, because they weren't giving ROIs, and I'm part of a task force that says this can't happen anymore. We have to have an ROI report. So we have a meeting, I think, next week, and it should be our last meeting, because there's plenty of examples we've gone over now. They just have to get them done.
So you feeling though that you're getting value from 77, but the Charlotte Alliance, it sounds like you're still kind of questioning
Yeah,
the
there's
value.
some discussions we have to have. And others, my counterparts in the 15 other counties,
Mhm.
believe me, we meet and talk and we're asking the same questions.
And then what's 80? That's what 87,000 a year?
84, I think.
84 a year.
So what do you think they're gonna request that we contribute to the capital campaign? Any idea what the dollar amount's gonna be from York
So,
County?
as far as the 77 Alliance fundraising,
Yeah. No, not 70, yes.
yes, 77
Charlotte
Alliance
Alliance.
is doing the fundraising right now.
The Charlotte
Shouldn't be
Alliance.
any, no, not Charlotte, the 5
Yes.
counties 77 Alliance. South Carolina 77.
That's right, yes.
The one you
okay.
came to there.
Yeah, that's right.
It should not be an additional ask of us. That's
Okay.
only from the private sector. They're doing fundraising.
All private sector.
money.
Okay,
Should not be anything from us.
all right.
Is there any other alliances that we're not looking at opportunities with at this point? Okay.
When you look at your new opportunity segments, do you think we should focus any energy towards any of those to increase them, for instance?
So the office
Existing industry.
segment, as far as that goes, we've had just a couple new ones this year, but the office market is dead.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's just nothing happening there. We can prepare for it, and I mean, I talked to different developers, so we'll see how time goes. Warehouse and distribution type things, nothing major. There's one I'll talk about here tonight, but other than that, we have product. We have one of 3 large boxes in the Charlotte Metro. That's over 700,000 square feet.
Mhm.
That's like available for, yeah.
Yeah.
Where is that?
Legacy in Rock Hill.
Okay.
It's 850,000.
Going towards Lancaster,
Mhm.
right as you go past 77.
Mhm.
It's on the
And those
left.
folks are at a point where it's like they'd like to have one user take it, but the reality is they may have to subdivide it.
Mhm.
But it's cross stock. We've had folks look at it that could take sizable portion of for manufacturing, like we had happen with the door manufacturer up in Lakemont.
Yeah, like
which
bond.
came and
Yeah.
spoke to.
Yeah.
But those are unique because to put a manufacturer in there with all those dock doors,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just not purposely built for that, but you can do it.
You can do it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for answering the questions.
Any other questions?
Nope.
All right. Then the pipeline, as far as the, we have 9 at the finalist stage. A couple of those we're looking to hopefully close out here in the next probably 45 days, and then shortlisted. Love to see a few more come down from the project stage. Again, prospects, they haven't come and looked yet, but projects have. So again, it's just a process of getting them down the funnel. We are
Mhm.
competing at the top level. In a lot of cases, it's a real estate evaluation, and we're working with some of these real estate brokers to understand where it makes sense for them to at least understand we may have incentives available. For some projects, no, they're not gonna be incentives available. They can take a statutory abatement, or it's not an industry type, like we haven't incentivized warehousing ever, forever, I
Mhm.
mean, like a long time. So, they run with warehouse deals, right?
Yeah,
So-
doesn't generate
Yeah.
taxes, I guess.
Site visits came down a little bit from 5 to 4 to 2. Again, I'm wondering if that's indicative of the economy. And I talked to
Interest
other
rates.
folks
Mhm.
out there in other counties, and we'll see how the next month or two goes.
Well, I mean, you look at October though, you had 1, and then you bounced up to 5, so, you know, I think it's, yeah.
So we did have, we've had a good fiscal year. Again, we're reporting fiscal year because that's how we operate in the county.
Mhm.
So 929 jobs and almost 1.2 billion. So best year ever calendar year, and we had that video out. Hopefully
Yeah.
y'all saw that in our press release
Mhm.
that went out about the good year that we had, the state had,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
that matter. So we should be, joyful and
Joyful.
I mean, really, it's good.
Mhm.
It's good news, and we should tell the world, right? And that's the other benefit of those partnerships.
Yeah.
Those alliances.
Yeah.
They put that stuff out.
They put it all
That's what I
out.
was gonna ask you
Yeah.
that question, if, when something's coming even to, Mecklenburg or Gaston or somewhere around, are you like, kind of, you're on their radar or they're on your radar
Yeah.
when somebody else is getting something
Yeah,
that's?
we monitor what others are doing.
Yeah.
That alliance is a communicator of that.
Yeah.
Through the channels in market and out of market, for sure. Podaker Construction is the company that we put in the win category. It came in at 15 million, 30 jobs. They're a headquarters for a construction and service operation. They're going off of Porter Road down there, kind of where Stewa announced their project by the elementary school.
Mhm.
Good project, good team. They're up in Charlotte right now. They're out of St. Louis,
Mhm.
Missouri area, and they're going to just grow operations in the Carolinas.
So they just announced on the 10th?
Yeah, we moved it on the 10th.
Okay.
And more news was coming out about them.
Okay.
We didn't give them any incentives because they're like a JM Cope type operation, but
Okay.
they'll have a nice looking building, and I think it's a good addition to the economy. Over the past 6 years, we've been blessed with 58 wins. And Watts, you asked about what's the differential between new versus existing. So
Mhm.
just of the number of wins, majority of those are in the new versus existing. Over 60% of the jobs that we've announced in that period are in the new versus existing. And of the 1.1 million, majority at 63% were at new versus existing. So
Mhm.
take care of them all.
Mhm.
Everyone's important on the spectrum there, but that's kind of that.
Can you give us an update on CellFab? What's going on with DHAC?
Just
Is
waiting
that over?
on some answers
No,
from the
it's nothing
company
back yet.
on their questions that they still have from
Yeah.
DHEC. So the company is working on it. They just gotta get them the data. There's just 1 or 2 more points left to answer. It's on their shoulders. They
Yeah.
can do it. All right. Business retention expansion. So we're out there talking to different companies. This last month we were at companies in Rock Hill and in Clover. Safety Council meeting was held in January. Over 40 attendees. The next one's in March. And in February there's a HR roundtable scheduled by Bedgear. So they volunteered their space to host the HR managers. This time there's a representative from the South Carolina National Guard, and he's a workforce advisor. So he works with all these Guard members that are
Okay.
leaving the military in the National Guard system. So he works with us and the companies and tries to get people placed. It's kind of a unique role, unique position, but he's a really sharp guy. We thought we'd get him in front of the HR managers, right? That's his target audience. So. The regional chamber is going to recognize so there'll be a Rock Hill manufacturer of the year at their annual awards.
Oh, good.
coming up.
Okay,
So
good.
Stay tuned. I can't
Yeah.
let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah.
It'll be a good announcement. Marketing, we have our upcoming trips. I mentioned Site Selector Guild. If we get approved to go, that we're slated to go in April for a Nashville conference, and then NPE, National Plastics Expo, and that's in Orlando. I've been to that one over time, and that's a pretty big deal. The State Department of Commerce will have a booth there. Big expo. Atlas Copco, we're beginning to work on a video. We've done videos on companies like Elchem
Mhm.
and what's the other ones, Jason? I forget.
Spacing at the moment.
Yeah, 2 other ones I
We
believe.
did one for Southwood.
Southwood, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that one will begin here shortly, and then the collaborative branding project. one of the team members from the Visit York County was on a maternity leave, and she should be back 1st of February. So we should be able to roll out that in February, what those results are, and then plan with our programming with
Mhm.
county growth partners, because they provide program funds. So that should be good.
So all of this stuff, I mean, you know, with what's going on here, and then how we're starting, you know, the whole series with the county, and the nice job Greg's doing, you know, to get the videos out and the marketing component. I mean, that I think is really gonna, to me, is gonna be another avenue in order to message.
And we've talked in.
And the
we have
messagings.
some slotted
Okay.
as far as stuff that we want to do.
Perfect.
We should get you guys involved in some of that and interview like in front of a company.
Yeah,
You know, they may be talked about or may not, but at least they'll see a business there.
right.
Our fall business pulse survey, hopefully you saw those results. We did a press release on that.
Right.
I thought it was very good information. We do that every 6 months. And we're talking as a team if we do some more surveying types, shorter surveys, in addition to what we're doing with our wage and benefit survey. And I think next year, this year's survey, we're going to add in a separate survey just to office operations. It's a little trickier because we don't have as many of them, but it's important to keep a pulse of what's going on in their wages and benefits and things if they'll participate.
Okay.
You gotta be very careful because with a small sample size, you don't want to give away, you know, oh, well, it's probably that guy there, or this girl, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So.
All right.
All right. Other things to note. So next Monday is a rollout by the governor and Department of Commerce at an ED summit. They're going to roll out their strategic plan for the state. This thing's been worked on for probably 18 months. So I'll give you a sample of what I
Okay.
took from it. And I'll send that out to you guys.
Where do they do that?
It's going to be in Columbia. They've never done one of these before. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
it was kind of a invite, and then it was so filled up they want to make sure a representative from each county was there,
Yeah.
like EDOs. So they got me in, but I was like, wow,
Wow.
it's a big deal, I guess. Who's
Yeah.
gonna talk about a plan now? Then the fundraiser, I mentioned that, and then Growth Partners annual meeting. You should have gotten an invite to that, and that'll be at the fish market on the 21st.
When did
I haven't seen
Came
it.
Yeah.
in County email, I think.
did that just come in? Did they?
Came, last week.
Oh, less.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll double check. Okay. And what is it? The
What
20?
came from me. It's a noon lunch,
It's a noon lunch.
12 to 1:30. We'll
Okay.
have Diane Jones
Okay.
from Jones Lang LaSalle up in Charlotte, who does site selection. She'll be
Okay.
our guest speaker.
And it's at the
Fish market.
fish market. Okay. I'll take a look.
I'll
Make
send
sure I
it
got.
to you guys.
Yeah, if you can do that, that'd be great.
What's the date on that one? Do you know?
21st.
21st. Okay.
I think I may have sent it to y'all.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, you sent it?
I
Okay.
think I'd forwarded yours also, so you might have gotten it from me and.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The double whammy.
The double whammy. There you go.
I'll send it to you right now.
Perfect.
right.
Thank you.
That's kind of the high-level report, and we can get into some details in the exec session.
Okay.
But the other item was the evaluation on, I know we're still talking about or have ideas to look at Gravity Center.
Yeah.
What I said, was asked to do last time was to look at some of these other examples and just kind of give you a snapshot and
Exactly.
tell you some of the
Yep.
difference. So I
Yep.
can do that here.
Yep. Sounds good.
So I looked at Greenville and Spartanburg.
Okay.
I know Columbia has activities that are transitioning into kind of a new level.
Mhm.
But it's not at a point where I think it's something we should look at. And luckily I've got their examples of their requests for proposals that they did
Mhm.
for consultative services.
Okay.
So that's a positive that we have some examples if we want
Yeah.
to do a transition and work with our partners to do something.
Okay.
But these two communities have been doing some stuff for a while. One a little bit longer, that being Greenville, and
Mhm.
Spartanburg has got some good momentum, and I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Greenville first. What you see in this example is what I call the branding initiative that they came out with, which I think is real strong. It's called Startup Greenville, and what they did is through community effort, community engagement, and leadership that they have,
Mhm.
from the chamber and the city of Greenville mainly,
Mhm.
is they said, okay, how do we build the spirit of entrepreneurship and identify what we have, who's there doing things, and what resources can people plug into on the spectrum of going from being a concept idea of somebody's to capitalization and commercialization. Okay, so if you start in the upper left area, the blue, light blue,
Mhm.
going all the way around the wheel on the counterclockwise, that's sort of the concept that I think you take away from this. And their focus is trying to coordinate and support the diversity of the ecosystem, because a lot of these efforts have different audiences, different goals and agendas, but all make it very important in terms of the ecosystem that makes entrepreneurship, business, startup
Mhm.
go. Okay, so when you look at the focus, you have the categories, main categories of the imagining the innovation in the startups themselves, looking at how do you really accomplish networking, training, and concept development, right?
Mhm.
We've done some of that here in Rock Hill and in the county. Gravity Center, I'll give them some credit. They stepped into that space to a degree. Then it's establishing the entrepreneurs through universities, some prototyping initiatives, market introductions. That's really a little bit more collaborative. And then they also have the space offerings, the capital and co-working. So that's probably in your more real estate play. That's when you get people that are a little bit more mature through the cycles, how I
Mhm.
took away from this and my conversations.
Mhm.
And then really going into the early stage capital through the growing of the entrepreneurs and then the scaling up and commercialization.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this is being done all over. It's just, this is unique in that Greenville, I think, is one of the leading communities
Yeah,
that's done pretty well at this.
I like it.
And their model started out of the chamber, and
Mhm.
but understand it's also now transitioning into more of a public-private partnership.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'll talk about that. So the group that has been stood up to facilitate this and be the main cheerleaders called Next. Okay, it came out of the chamber. It was a wholly owned subsidiary of the chamber, and it really helped drive the vision. Okay, the city has since really stepped in a little bit more, and I'll emphasize where that has come. But they have a staff of 5. They have a director. They have the VMS program, that venture mentoring system, that
Mhm.
MIT system. We're doing it here, or have been doing it here, and they
Mhm.
learned from those guys over there.
Mhm.
Spartanburg is also doing it, and I think
Mhm.
other locations in the southeast are doing it. So MIT model is a good one, and I think it brings success. I don't think you'd want to get rid of that here. And
Mhm.
think of that as really key important, mentoring.
Mhm.
Okay, mentoring. Then they have the foundation, and so the founding partners of this were City of Greenville, Greenville Chamber, and Greenville County, who really took it from kind of just getting started to really giving it more horsepower. Clemson was also in there, but my understanding is Clemson's backed away from it. They still do things to help the initiative. Their name's on this,
Mhm.
but I think they don't provide the resource funds like these other entities. So the budget's been between $450,000 to $600,000. City of Greenville provides $250,000 for the staff and these operations for the program things.
Mhm.
They also provide $250,000 for the marketing of the startup Greenville things.
Mhm.
Okay, making sure some of that's going. We'd have to dive deeper into their budget to understand fully how things
Okay.
break up, but that's how it was described to me.
Mhm.
Greenville County is anywhere from 125 to 150,000 a year.
Mhm.
And then the Greenville Chamber, they use funds from their main fund of the general operating, and then they have their foundation. And they put in resources. At one time, I understand that foundation put in a lot more money,
Mhm.
but those companies have backed down,
Mhm.
and that it's maybe more of an expense for the Greenville Chamber main funding.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
that's just FYI, that's kind of how they fall down on program budget. So services that the next group provides
Mhm.
is they have access to flexible space, meaning they have access to meeting space, and I
Mhm.
don't know how much they pay for that.
Mhm.
They don't control it, I don't believe, but they set it up and then they can hold conferences and webinars and meetups and things like that. They also do play ball with some of these property owners, like up in Greer, there's a group, Dennis Brash and his guys, and then there's Bob Hughes. I don't know if you've heard that name over in Greenville. He's a developer, family developer, and they were asked at one time, could you provide like some flex space where maybe it's discounted, where they get more entrepreneurs who come out of the incubation and they go there at a discount to have a space. But it's a free market in that regard. It's not a straight line, only these people who come through next, you gotta go here. No, these people can choose,
Okay.
and it's open to the market.
Okay.
Workshops, direct connections. So venture pitch, we do some of that here. Greer does a lot. Spartanburg has done some stuff. So these are all services they offer.
Okay.
Key partners and allies. The list is big. It's on here.
Yeah, and I see that, yeah, in regards to
Like,
that, okay.
like they have Clemson. They have USC Upstate, because USC
Mhm.
Upstate is involved in the Greenville and Spartanburg marketplace.
Mhm.
And Furman University. Now, one thing I did hear is that the universities probably aren't as active as you would think. And like our Winthrop University supports the idea, but they haven't been active, right?
Mhm.
So I think you got to figure out what that fit is from the university perspective. And right now, as you all know, we're kind of in a transition period with the Winthrop University.
Mhm.
So there may be an opportunity, if structured right, they come to the table and offer things that maybe they've never done and we need
Right.
as a community.
Right, right.
All right, so that's next. And
Yeah.
Again,
So,
I didn't want to get. it would take a lot of time.
yeah, no, this is good. No, I appreciate you guys doing this, because this, to me, is so critical for our small business space, that we align this and we bring it in. So just to share with you on that slide right there, so based on conversations in regards to a plan similar to this, the conversation that we had around with the chamber,
Yep.
and the idea that the conversation that I had with Dean was the fact that we would form a stool, and part of that stool would include the SBDC out of Winthrop, okay? Maybe the COG would be incorporated. Then we maybe look at Gravity, so we look at identifying grant writing, we identify venture capital opportunities, we look at market trends analysis, and then SME support, or partnership in regards to mentorship. Excuse me. So I think that we've got some components there.
Absolutely.
In the chamber could be they would be kind of the traffic cop, right, in this process.
Yeah.
So I think that it all fits in with this discussion.
Yeah.
And I think there's real opportunity, and Dean is very excited about this opportunity too.
I think it's worth that discussion, see where that falls. Let me
Yeah.
talk about Spartanburg, because
Yeah.
they are similar, but they're a little different.
Okay,
And they
sounds
are
good.
more of the chamber model.
Yeah.
All right, so Power Up Spartanburg / Small and Minority Business Initiative. And they label that very intentfully, and here's why. So One Spartanburg, are you familiar with One Spartanburg? So it was the chamber, right? And what they realized is that they were a split between the county here, the chamber here, the city there, all these little communities. What they said is, we need to come together and be one Spartanburg, okay? So they have community initiatives, they have economic development with their futures group, and then chamber-related things, but it's all one entity run by one person in a group. They decided, because the community was saying this, the business community, and leaders across the county and
Mhm.
cities, we need to do more for small business and minorities.
Mhm.
Okay, so in this case, they said, all right, how do we do something, but we need funds to do it, right? And so when the ARPA funds came in, they realized and figured out you can use these funds for small business minority business assistance. and targeted towards a key area that I thought was very good, and that's the loans and grants. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about that. I didn't want to put it on the side, but I
Mhm.
read enough to give you the
Okay.
download. Okay, so they are investing $6 million. Their county is saying $6 million of ARPA funds over 5 years. What I heard is that 1.2 million of that is going to go for loans and grants. Now, those loans and grants are administered through third-party groups. There are 3 different groups that run these 3 separate capital program areas. There's also $200,000 of grant funds that they got from like Duke Energy and other foundations that help with this initiative of helping small business minority owners. Staff of 3 and 2 consultants. They have an advisory board of 15 people. A lot of those are in the business community, okay? They have partners, they call them, which are all those people like SBDC and the USC Upstate, all that.
Mhm.
That's in that group. Now, they've been meeting separately. In February, they're all meeting together. So it's again this coalescing of
Mhm.
one Spartanburg, one group, one initiative. The 3 areas I mentioned here, capital and space. So with this, what you read or can take away from this is there's a focus on the startup, and that is less than 2 years of existence. And there are loans that are administered through one financial institution. Then there are the existing business loans, which is greater than 2 years, and that's a separate group. And then there is the existing business impact grants, which is really a grant program that you have to have well-established revenues, and it's a little bit more robust. Not a lot of money, but enough money to probably make a difference, and that's a separate.
How do they select? Is there like you have to qualify some way?
Yeah, there's some qualification criteria, and then there's application, and then there's the committee and the entities that administer the funds. There's also the downtown Spartanburg focus. I think it's the grants where it's small scale storefronts, micro office and micro retail space.
Mhm.
So again, that's more of an intentful real estate assistance effort, because when the county said they have all that money, Spartanburg has got a real initiative to redo its downtown, and they've come a long way.
Mhm.
So that was just part of that, making sure that there was enough going that direction.
Right.
So there's that. The technical support, that's very similar to what we see here and Greenville has. And then there's a social capital side where you have community captains, VMI, mentoring. I would see the community captains being like those individuals who came in front of us, and they have a spirit amongst them and say, we're going to make this work. And
Mhm.
those are the kind of folks that then go out and get other people to join on and find those other entrepreneurs and bring them into the mix.
So when did Spartanburg begin their program?
It's probably about 2 years ago. They probably were talking about it 3 years ago. It would be worth it to go talk to them.
And look at their success.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can document that.
Yeah.
They talked about how many companies got started up with
Right.
that impact.
Yeah, I like that.
This is
I like
truly
that.
more small business assistance, but
Yes.
it plugs in that entrepreneurial side.
Mhm.
They have another group that's out there that they're
Mhm.
building up that's more in the innovation economy. And I think Greenville is probably more in that innovation economy
Mhm.
and small business. Probably a little bit. They have minority business
Mhm.
efforts too, but they're probably driven more in the innovation economy.
Mhm. So I think going there to have a meeting with it, I think would be valuable.
Yeah.
And then I think from that, then again, this is what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking out loud, guys. Is that we do a visit. We look at what they're both offering. We look at the conversations that I talked about we had with the chamber, okay? And then we come up with a joint plan that we think would make sense for this area. Now, I think that, again, it's a process, right? But I think the fact-finding here was really good, so I appreciate you guys doing that.
Yeah.
But I want to look now at the next step and just to formulate some type of plan now that we can put together based on what we've talked through. So if, I'd like to, ask y'all if you can
We-
task that would be
we
great.
can work on that. So some of the
Appreciate it.
takeaways, just high level, again, I didn't want to make any recommendations, but I just truly believe there are some, my discussion had takeaways. One
Mhm.
is aligning public and private sectors, the partners, and then the funding that might be available at such time where it's collaborative, so it's not us versus them, and they didn't do enough and all that.
Mhm.
Getting everyone at the table so it fits with what we say are the needs
Mm-hmm,
and the market potential, because where we may have a strong need to go more in that small business assistance and counseling and minority
Mhm.
and women-owned businesses, and the innovation economy is something we work on, but it's not as robust,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like, you think about an innovation economy where they have a major research university like Clemson has their presence in
Mhm.
Greenville,
Yeah.
the ICAR and other stuff.
Yeah.
That makes it for a different market potential. It doesn't mean we don't aspire to it and
Right.
focus on it, but
Right.
you got to start with one step before
Right.
you can take the next step.
Right.
So that's just the takeaway.
Yeah, kind of an IMO, FMO kind of process here, like we could come up with a strategy around a small step here that we can move forward to get out there and then look at more of a long range.
Yeah,
Plan.
and that's my second point there. Really, it stresses how do we see those three segments? Because that's what was told me.
Mhm.
Those are the three segments you want to focus on as the customers come through the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Now, there's also the peer-to-peer networking in the innovationist space, especially because those people think and talk a different language, right?
Mhm.
And their experience and potential is bigger than probably
Mhm.
or even they could probably realize or recognize. But without our help in some ways,
Yeah.
maybe that doesn't get realized, right? So we got to figure out how to at least bring them to the table, set them up to network amongst themselves, but also we learn from them.
Right.
So it's kind of that idea of maybe a little bit lead from behind. And when they're built up and being successful, our ecosystem is probably stronger,
Mhm.
but we need to be leading an effort in collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last thing is real estate resources support efforts. It should not lead the efforts. Either lead or follow. And I think what we realize here is that Gravity Center, under its former model, the for-profit that had
Mhm.
the incubator space, and then they switched to a nonprofit. What I learned is a lot of these others started with the nonprofit, and then the real estate stuff follows when the market needs it. And we need to have it, but it's
Mhm.
don't let the tail wag the dog, if that makes sense.
Well, and I think what we talked about here, I think there's going to be a leg of the stool that where we can make it fit and comfortable for everybody across the board. But I think we just need to strategize that and talk through that process. I know we're getting close because we got another meeting coming up. Any other discussion around this at all? You guys, any questions? Yeah, you all good? You all good? All right.
Saying the projects is for time. Nothing's really
Mhm.
updated,
Mhm.
honestly, since we met last.
Yeah.
I can send you the slides that I have, and you can ask questions. I can call you if you want me to call you and walk you through, but nothing's really changed.
Nothing. Okay. Well, do you want to? Let's do this. Let's go into executive session for just a second. And
Before we do that, let's clarify real quick. What
Yeah.
are the action steps that you're requesting?
So the action steps that they've gone
For
and
Greenville and Spartanburg.
Yeah,
What
for
are the
Green-
action steps.
the action steps were they brought back information based on Greenville and Spartanburg and what they've done, and then based on the conversation that I've had with Dean on the chamber, around what he feels is a stool. So in essence, now let's go coalesce this stuff together, talk about how this all makes sense for the area, and maybe have them come back with some type of framework of what they feel would be a good, first step IMO type of process that we could craft. Now, the meeting I had with the chamber was, I think, a very good first step, and it's a very simple first step, and I think that would incorporate SBDC, the COG, and then partnership possibly with just maybe a mentorship piece from Gravity. Maybe not, we'd have to talk through that.
There's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk
Where are
about,
they
but
today versus-
where they are today or whatever, but I want to build those legs of the stool, but the chamber is excited about the opportunity to be the the
So-
conduit.
So we
For this.
gave the chamber $100,000, we're giving them $100,000 a year for 3 years. What is that money, what did that, I forgot what that went for.
Workforce readiness. and-
So we're gonna get an update from them on that, on what they've done.
Yeah, they did an
She
update.
just did.
They just did
Our
one.
last
You were,
meeting.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
last
you
meeting.
missed
Okay.
that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, you weren't?
No,
If you wanna talk to Celeste, we can help. set
yeah.
up.
So that would, so the ask is to come back with that. I mean, does that help you answer the question? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Dean has some ideas. I think it's worth us looking at it and then saying, how do you bring the right people under the tent?
Yeah. So I want to bring Dean into the
We're
discussion.
going- If I hear you correct, we should set up a time to go down.
Correct.
And listen
Yeah.
and learn and.
Listen and learn. I think have a meeting with Dean, incorporate that. There was going to be, and there's also meetings that I think for the SBDC, we were going to set up to have conversation with them, you know, to try to start building what we feel would be each leg of the stool.
So are you asking for a site visit to Spartanburg and Greenville?
I think it would be practical to do that.
When would you like to do that?
I don't know, maybe we can talk about the
February,
date.
March?
February, or March, yeah, one or the other. Yeah.
My February is very full, just so you know.
I'll imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
Some special day.
Valentine's Day takes only a few days, but I got a lot going on in February.
Oh, Valentine's was your business? Oh my gosh, it's unreal.
So you'd rather do March?
I think March is probably more practical. Yeah, I think March is more practical.
I'm really more interested in the Spartanburg one than the Greenville,
That's,
it's just more, it looks more simple. It looks more like, this Greenville is very, it looks more technical, and I like parts of it, like there's certain things that I would, you
And
know,
understand.
circle on there. This looks a lot more detailed and a lot more involved than
yeah.
a
Possibly.
startup
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Possibly, it's a great question. Is it that much more robust and difficult to manage, or I would agree with you. Spartanburg to me seems like that better model for us, or easier model for us to get kind of involved into.
It might just
Yeah.
be because they have a big fancy page that looks kind of.
Well, it's got a
like
lot of
font
fancy,
to
nice
me.
little massaging
It looks-
colors to it.
Yeah, it looks a little.
Yeah.
Well, I think Greenville has history. I think I went on the website, $98 million of investment return. I don't have to read through that in detail, but I think Power Up Spartanburg just started in '23.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think Spartanburg probably fits more into our model, you know, what we would be thinking coming up. So, all right, so I think since the executive session is on our schedule, do I have a motion to go into executive? Well, do you want to go ahead and give the motion?
Oh, just executive session, you got economic development project updates,
Yeah.
sorry.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Uh,
Aye. All right. Yeah. And we can do quick update.
Oh, you're good. It's executive session.